host this town hall with all of you. In case you haven't noticed, especially if you're dialing in from home, we're doing a little bit of a new format today in an attempt to try to reach even more constituents. So we're doing a new tele-town hall format. And, also feel free to let us know how that works out for you all as well back home. So we're very excited about all of that. And we thank you very, very much for joining us here tonight. So this is our November town hall. We're very excited once again to be connecting with each and every one of you. And as always, our monthly town halls are an opportunity for our constituents to be able to ask questions, be able to directly access their member of Congress, and to have their voices heard. Since we've last spoke and since we've had our last town hall, a lot has transpired both domestically in our city and around the world. Our last town hall occurred shortly before the horrifying events of October 7th and every day that has transpired since. And I want to make sure that we create, some space for that, and to also provide you an update on a lot of what I've been working on and what our team here has been working on as well. As we all know, on October 7th, there was a horrific attack that Hamas had committed in Israel that targeted over 12,000 victims in Israel. Over 80% of those victims were innocent civilians that were targeted: children, elderly people, innocent folks. And that precipitated, additionally, an enormous response by the Israeli government as well, where we have seen, in addition to the 1,200 lives lost and taken by Hamas on October 7th, we have also seen over 14,800 Palestinian lives taken in the Gaza Strip due to the massive bombardment campaign that has occurred since. Now, in terms of our position and what how our representation has engaged in this matter, immediately on October 7th, not only did we issue a condemnation of the Hamas attacks, but we've also called for an immediate bilateral ceasefire. I was one of the original co-sponsors of the ceasefire resolution in the U.S. House of Representatives, calling for an end to both the bombardment and the release of hostages. And what we have seen most recently is a hostage deal begin to be enacted around just over this weekend, where we started to see a temporary ceasefire deal in exchange for hostages. Today, we saw the release of several hostages by both Hamas and the Israeli government. Mostly women and children have been released by Hamas, and young teenagers have been released by the Israeli government. Young Palestinian teenagers have been released by the Israeli government. Where our position is right now is that we want to advocate for the continuation of this ceasefire. I want to be very clear that that war crimes do not justify or constitute further war crimes. And what we have seen has been just an enormous amount of bloodshed. And that is just simply the human toll of this is unacceptable. And we have continued to maintain that position, advance that position as we work to try to find a diplomatic solution to what we all know to be an extraordinarily intractable and difficult situation. And so that is currently where we have engaged. I have also engaged in asking questions around the deployment of white phosphorus in Gaza. I have met with the families of Israeli hostages and advocated for their release. I've also borne witness myself to footage of both the Hamas attacks as well as many of the Palestinian lives that have been taken in this horrendous outbreak, most recent outbreak of violence. And I think what is most important for all of us to really make sure that we center is the human toll and the human cost. There is no justification, and there will never be justification for the targeting of innocent civilians. To me, that is a bright line, and it is one that I think is completely unjustifiable. And when we see this cost, when we see the human cost of what happened in the Hamas attacks, when we see the extraordinary human toll of this indiscriminate bombing campaign in Gaza, we must be able to see that this situation is unsustainable, and there is no clear solution that this violence leads to. And I think it's important for us to deeply understand that. And so that is kind of where we are there. That is the latest development in that situation. And of course, if you have questions and if